Hello, back again with me, Pep Quick from Bina Nusantara International University. Now we're going to talk about mental models. But before we talk about mental models, let's have a riddle review. On the last two videos I've made, we're talking about system thinking and personal mastery. Now, we've been talking about system. What is a system? I believe you still remember it. Well, system has to be complete. It has to be well arranged, it has to be stable, and it has to have effects on some other things. I think you still understand this one. And about system thinking. System thinking is the way to think out of the box. It's not focusing on just one thing, events, but look at the whole process the event happens. We call it to look at the patterns, then look at the structures. And system thinking is more to trying to solve our problems by solving it from the root from the problems, so we are not causing any problems other than the one we are trying to solve. Next, the second video is the personal mastery. Well, personal mastery is the ability to reach the thing we want most with the economy of means. It's trying to become creative rather than reactive. And personal mastery is not a skill which depends on physical conditions, so you can't say that you're short so you don't have personal mastery or kind of things like that. Now, as usual, we have one question: what is mental models? If you ever heard about beliefs, assumptions, frameworks, models, opinions, I believe you already know that. You already know mental models. Beliefs is mental models, assumptions is mental models. So actual mental models is pictures of what's going on, assumptions that already stick in your mind, so every time you see something, that's what you think about it. Then, what's the role of mental models? See, everyone has mental models, but different mental models for everyone, and it affects us of how we act on something and how we see something. As I said before, well, mental model sticks in your brain, so every time you see something, it really affects you. So if you see a punk walking down the street, then you will think that this punk is a very bad guy, using narcotics, using drugs, killing people, abusing people, doing vandalisms, but you doesn't know the truth. Maybe this guy is just punk in the outside, but in the inside he's really a good guy. Nobody knows. But well, that's the role of mental models. It makes assumptions, so once you have a glance, you look at it, look at them, look at everything you see, you'll have pictures about it. And mental models also help us to convert our way of thinking from knowing to learning. So we're not just knowing something like from the case, but we also learn what inside it. What I want to say is mental model is incomplete. So like we said before, you can see someone with a punk outfit as a bad guys, but maybe it's good guys, but you don't see it. You just don't see how they interact with other people, so you just see how they look like. Well, mental model is always incomplete, so we need to refine it as time goes on to keep it up to date, just like your antivirus software in your computers, so you won't have an old-fashioned way of thinking. Well, it's like looking at the same thing but from different side. So like what the example before, if you look at the punk just from the outfit, just from the looks, how he looks, but you don't see how he interacts, how he talks to people, how people think about him, I mean people who already know him, then you can't say that this guy is a bad guy or a good guy. Well, see the picture here? This is the ladders of inferences. See, look at the cursor here. This is the step of how we take actions based on what we think. So like I said before, mental models do affect how we take actions. So in these steps, we're observing data. So we look, like example before, we look at the punks and we see, oh, he had a ring on his hands, he had earrings on his nose, and he got gothic looks, and that's all we get here. Then it become data. Then the second step is we select the data from what we observe, then we add meanings to it on the third step. So we see, wow, he got black lips, so he get to be smoking, and he get to be using drugs because his eyes dark, his eyes is blackened. Then we make assumptions based on the meanings we already add. So by looking someone who has black lips, black gums, we say that this guy must be smoking. That's assumptions. Then from assumptions we draw conclusions. This guy must be smoking. That's a conclusion. So we just think this guy is a smoker. That's the conclusion. So we shouldn't get close to him. Then we adapt the beliefs. We shouldn't get close to somebody with black lips, because somebody with black lips usually smoke, and we don't want to be around someone who's smoking or someone who's using drugs. So that's become the belief, and it becomes the actions we take. We are trying to stay away, trying to stay as far as we can from someone with black lips or someone with messy hairs on something that we think that this guy is using drugs or smoking or whatever we don't want them to do. Okay, but as I said before, we need to refine it as time goes on. So we can see here there's a reflexive loops. This is how we change our way of thinking after we get the beliefs. Right, for example, we have a belief that somebody with black lips usually smokes. Then in the end we know someone that have black lips, black gums, but he doesn't smoke or she doesn't smoke. It's only because the genetics. So then we can have a reflexive loop. We can see, we'll go back to here from the data we observe that someone have black lips, but he or she is not smoking, and we know that, and he or she has never ever smoked before. Then we can select the data again from the new data we got. We add new meanings, we make new assumptions, we draw new conclusions, and we have a new belief which is more accurate than the one before we have. It's like updating your antivirus library, so you need to do it, and you have to do it most of the time, so you can't stop doing it. Okay, learning about mental models, we need two skills. There are two skills required to refine our mental models. First is to do some reflections. You have to do some reflections, like I said before. You have to update your antivirus database, so you can make better assumptions, you can make better estimations about something. Then to update this database, you need the skill to inquire. You have to look at other people's opinion. But I mean, skill to inquire here is not just ask them, but ask them politely. Ask them, you have to know the way to ask them, so you won't make any problems with them. Well, that's all about these mental models. Maybe thank you for listening, and see you in my next video.